So, shout out Bad Bunny. I heard it was popping over there. Joining us via the Folsom Lake Honda hotline, we do have Anthony Slater of The Athletic. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. I did see yesterday, of course, the Bulls and the Warriors played yesterday at Chase Center. You guys couldn't take care of the Bulls in the same way that the Kings couldn't the other day. But Steph went down in that fourth quarter. Is there any update that you have on Steph Curry's health?
Oh, they're looking at it today. I mean, he's likely to miss time at this point. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy long, but sprained his ankle, and he has history with ankles, but they've held up well the last several years. They can't afford him missing too much time, though, considering the standings crunch.
Yeah, Anthony, thanks for hopping on, man. As you just mentioned, a really tight race in the West, and Warriors end up losing that game to the Bulls. Familiar feeling for the Kings, who lost to the Bulls not long ago, but just how much, with every game just holding so much weight at this point in the season, how much have you seen the Warriors be trending in the right direction as the year winds down here?
Yeah, look, they're 12-4 in their last 16. Some of the losses have been loud. I assume you guys saw that Boston game on Sunday. Yeah. They lost by 52.
Yeah.
But they also beat the Bucks by 35 in the next game. I think it was first team in NBA history to lose by 50 and then come back and win by 30. But they've been good. Draymond Green's return changed who they are. He plays center full time now. Kuminga and Wiggins can play together, and they couldn't early in the season. Pajemski's risen. Kuminga has ascended in his third season. Klay Thompson has settled into a bench role. Chris Paul is back. So really, they are I'd say if you look at that 5 through 10 crunch in the West that I was talking about, of those teams, I'd say them and the Pelicans are probably playing the best consistent basketball over the last 6 weeks.
Anthony, I'm curious, with everything, from 1 through 4 is really tight. And then of course the 5 through 10 is incredibly tight. Do you think that this playoffs is setting up specifically in the West to have a couple of upsets? I mean, we saw the Lakers last year make it all the way to the conference finals, but just with how close all of these teams are, it feels like there's not really a big separation in the tiers of these two teams. Do you see it that same way, or do you think that there is kind of a clear separation between those top 4 and the others that are still kind of competing for the play-in?
I think the Nuggets are going to crush whoever they get in the first round, probably. I would have said the same about the Clippers a couple weeks ago, but they're looking shakier. But the Nuggets are the team I trust the most. The Nuggets are the team, if you're sitting 5 through 10, I think you want to avoid the most. Although it gets tricky because if they're at 3, you don't want to avoid 6 and be in 7 because then you're in the play-in. But it might be better to be 7, play your way out of the play-in and get Minnesota without Towns potentially in the first round. So it's going to be in the standings jostling. I think late will be interesting. As far as to your question, kind of depends on how you define upset. If it's Lakers Thunder in the 1-8, but the Lakers have handled the Thunder well this season, Vegas might put the Lakers as slight favorites. You guys saw it last year where it was Warriors 6, Kings 3. Warriors were the favorites going into that series, right? I'm not sure we would have considered that series an upset. I'm not sure if it's Warriors Wolves with no Towns. Vegas will Warriors might be slight favorites. So I think to your grander point, West should be wild. I think 3 out of the 4 series, I think we won't really know which direction they're going, which will make it fun. But again, I also at this point, especially after last night, I'm kind of thinking the Nuggets might run away with the West when it comes down to it.
Yeah, Anthony Slater, The Athletic. Sacramento obviously been really inconsistent this year, and I'm curious from your perspective, do you feel like that makes them a tough evaluation, or does that sort of speak for itself in the caliber of team that this is?
I kind of think they're a simpler evaluation than most of the general public does. I think they're very similar to the team they were last year. They brought back the same core. Sabonis is still super productive, but I think it's fair to believe he may have a playoff ceiling as kind of your backline, center, rim protector. Fox is excellent, just like he was last season. The supporting cast is relatively similar. Barnes is still the same player. Herter, he's going to hit shots, but I think on a playoff stage, you wonder how many minutes. Remember his minutes went down in that series. Keegan Murray's taken a defensive leap, so maybe that nudges some of their ceiling overall upward. I know their offense is taking a small step back. Their defense is taking a small step forward. They have had a weird season, as you guys know much better than I do, with you lose to the Pistons at home and blow the Nuggets out, 2 nights later. Like, there's a lot of that, but I do still think like they're kind of the same tier of team that they were last season. Last season that got them the 3 seed, but that was a little bit of an outlier from a record perspective, right? The record they had last season wouldn't normally be a 3 seed. It's kind of the record that they're on pace for this season. It'll just probably be more like 6-7. I think they're going to be dangerous in the first round. They've shown they can beat anybody. They pushed the Warriors last season and very easily could have won that series. I can see them winning a first round series depending on matchup this season. But at the same time, I assume you guys are probably in agreement. Like, I don't see them making a run to the finals. But I also think they are a threat in the first round, which I think you could probably say about like 6 teams in the West.
Right. It's definitely a wide open conference. And, if we're talking super pie in the sky, is there a world where they get a favorable route and all of a sudden sneak into a Western Conference Finals? Like, maybe. I'm not betting on it. I would bet on a first round exit, but that could even have to come through the play-in. And as somebody that covered the Warriors last couple of play-ins, in my mind, it's just as unpredictable it gets in single elimination basketball. But what have you seen in your experience on what really matters in those games and how unpredictable are they?
Well, they're fun. They're unpredictable. I'd say that I covered the first season of the play-in, which was like, nobody knew how it was going to go. And the Warriors went into LA in Staples in the 7-8 game, and they were up like double digits. They were up in the 4th. It looked like they were going to come out and be the 7 seed. They lose that one kind of in a heartbreaking fashion. I remember, you guys might have remembered the game. LeBron hit like a deep wing 3 after he got hit in the face and was like saying he was seeing 3 baskets.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shoot for the middle.
Yes.
Yeah. So they got in, and then the Warriors were like, okay, they had that fallback game, and they faced the Grizzlies coming into Chase, and it was the very young Grizzlies, and Ja Morant upset them, and they didn't get in the playoffs. So it's dangerous, even if you are the 7 or the 8. But at the same time, look at the Heat last year. They play the 7-8 game. They lose to Atlanta. Then they face the Bulls in a full elimination game. I think they're down in like the 3rd quarter, like mid-3rd quarter. The Heat are, basically 18 minutes away from their season ending before the playoffs. They escape that game, and then they go to the finals. So it can be done. Lakers played out of the play-in and got to the West Finals last year. But it's unpredictable because, it's NCAA tournament-style basketball. It's great, but, anything can happen.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anthony Slater of The Athletic. Thank you so much for joining us. Thankfully, the Kings don't play the Warriors again for the rest of this season, so we won't have to deal with any of this.
Kidding me? I think it's destined.
Don't do it, Slater.
Don't do it to us.
Don't do it, Slater.
Playing in Golden 1. That's good theater. These 2 teams I love seeing these 2 teams battle out, especially in Sacramento.
Oh, no, it's an absolute blast. And I can't even, the environment even if it's a 7-10 Kings Warriors final for that last playoff spot, the environment is going to be absolutely insane. It's just those games bring us here in Sacramento tons and tons of stress that we just don't need. We already have enough stress playing teams, apparently like the San Antonio Spurs. So we don't need any of that Warriors stress. Anthony Slater, thank you.
You can go back to being a lottery team, and then April is very stress-free. March is very stress-free. I don't think you want that, right? Sports is supposed to bring stress.
Absolutely. No, we're just having fun here. Anthony Slater, thank you so much for joining us. We'll definitely hear from you, and I'm sure we'll see you at a Kings game here soon. Thank you, Slater.
Yep. See you guys.
Appreciate it, man.
That was Anthony Slater of The Athletic. You can definitely go check out his work. Coming up next, we are going to talk about the Stockton Kings, not something that we talk about a lot, but this is definitely something that is of note and absolutely something that needs to be addressed and talked